Welcome back, folks, to Fishing Planet. Here for the unique mechanics guide. I'm going to help you guys out with uniques. And as always, I always like to either show you or give you proof. So you can see here, there is at 7:15. I start catching my uniques. And you can see here, I caught 7 within 10 minutes. So it's, and without advancing the day. So as you can see here, they're all evening in the same time frame, just so you guys can see for yourselves. So some things in this video I do want you guys to know is there are exceptions to these rules. And a prime example of that is basically spotted bass down at Louisiana breaks most of these rules. But we're going to go over here, and a good example of what I'm talking about is a unique Chinook. Follows almost every rule here, guys. So we're going to start out with talking about respawn times. So, for example, this is one of my favorite places to catch unique Chinook salmon, right here. And once you catch the unique, almost all uniques in the game, like I said in the beginning, for all of these things I talk about, there's going to be a couple exceptions to the rule. But once you catch a unique in the game, you are not going to be able to catch one in that game for a set time. They all have a respawn time pretty much. For Chinook, it's 37.5 minutes real time. Or just over 2 hours in-game time, and that will help you out quite a bit just to know that. So sitting in one spot is not going to help you. Actually, trophies, a lot of times, I'll be doing a trophy video. I'll hopefully leave that pinned down in the comments for it. But the trophies have a lot of these same mechanics as well. So just so you know, once you catch one in one spot, you have to understand the fish species because they're all going to be different. But Chinook, for example, is 37.5 minutes. And some others, like unique northern pike or unique clear muskie, they're longer. It just depends on the fish species, but they almost all have a respawn timer. And this is a big one. The next one we're going to talk about here, guys, is the spawn area. So the area of effect. So this here, we got to fix this or get that map fixed here. I got to be able to look at the marks so you guys can see. As you can tell here, this is my unique Chinook here. There's a unique Chinook at the third island and a unique Chinook at the bottom. Now, if I catch a unique Chinook in the middle here, I'm going to put an area of an effect, a circle, and that's the area that you're not going to be able to catch them in after you catch that unique until that respawn time that we talked about earlier. So, for example, at Chinook, and you guys will see this in the guides for Midnight Salmon Galore and Battle of Kanique, if you come down here to the middle and catch it, it ruins your spawns for the first island and the bottom of the map. Now, if you take that same, if you understand that there's an area and you catch your first one here up at the top, you can actually still catch it down here. That sounds crazy, but if you guys don't understand how people are catching two uniques at Alaska, this is how they're doing it. They are doing the first island and down here, even though this is probably the easiest spot to catch them, to be honest, but so hopefully that helps you out. Also, one thing I want to talk about too is people are relying on these here. So this day right here on day 7, the middle of the day, you're probably thinking that's a terrible time to fish. Well, if you're going for commons, it is. Uniques are going to be a hair slower, but they are there. In fact, this day that you're seeing here, day 7, at 12 a.m., as you guys saw in the tournament not too long ago, this is where you can catch unique dollies and bull trouts really quick up here in Alaska. So the charts are based for bite rates, not necessarily when the fish are there. Very few fish have a spawn time. You can catch them all day. There is, like I said, exceptions to these rules. For this one, a blue bream at Actuba River is a prime example that there's a 4-hour window. You can catch that on most days. But in almost all fish species, you can catch them all day. They're just going to be slower. And most of the time, these charts are actually for bite rates. For example, in the middle of the day, you're not going to catch as much poundage probably as you are going to catch the end of them. So I just wanted to make that very clear. I see people go off these charts way too much. For example, like I said, the dollies in the middle of the day here, the sockeye in the middle of the day. Pretty much anything in Alaska you can catch all day. It's going to be a little slower. So don't read too much into them charts. But anyway, in a very interesting thing too, that a lot of people I find don't know, and I don't blame people for not knowing these mechanics. The game doesn't tell them to you, and you have to learn them on your own. So I want to be very clear about this. This isn't me making fun of anybody. This is me trying to help people because this is something I've learned, over the years of playing. And you just have to understand each species of fish. For example, the Chinook is going to have a different respawn area than a clear muskie or a northern pike or whatever it is. The respawn area can be different. Now, this is another thing that you probably see in the Battle of Kanique guide and the Midnight Salmon Galore guide that should help you out a lot. If you're in a scenario where you have to catch a big unique, guys, if you get one on the hook, for example, this is how I do well at Battle of Kanique or Midnight Salmon Galore. If I get one on the hook and I know it's a unique, but it feels small, if you let your line out and it gets off, you can continue to fish this spot until you catch a unique and bring it in. It will not stop your unique spawn until you catch it, until it's in your hands. That's a very big thing for them to comps, because if you have a small one, you're pretty much out of it, especially if you've caught your first one and you're on your second one. You want your second one to be really big for sure, your second unique. And another example of this too is if you are using bait poles and you have a bunch of them on a rod stand, you'll notice that you can catch multiple uniques at one time. This is a good example of this is monster fish, actually, because you can catch multiple monster fish on bait, as you guys have seen in like the Elder Gar video and stuff like that, where you can actually pull 2 of them in, or up to 5 of them. As long as you haven't had them, brought them into you, they aren't going to count against the spawn. And that goes for the uniques as well. So a lot of times in Battle Kanique or other comps that are relied on a big unique, I'll just let this fish go if I don't feel it's very big. But like I said, hopefully this helps you out, guys. And hopefully there's a lot of information in here to take. Hopefully it wasn't confusing, and I explained it as best of my abilities and clearly for you guys. But these are the mechanics that will really help you out. And we'll see you next time, guys. Have a good one.